Happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope you are doing well. It's 8:30. It's Wednesday. It's Off the Leash. Off the Leash is Neptune's way of staying in touch with all of you. I hope you are feeling good today. I hope you, like me, got to walk for a few seconds in snowflakes in May. It was joyous. Almost as joyous is doing this show, actually, Tuesday to Friday. It gives me a sense of purpose. It gives me a reason to put on shirt and jacket and a reason to stay in my pajamas just down there. And tonight, I'm not even joking. It also gives me an opportunity to connect with colleagues, with friends, with people that I have worked with, people that I admire, people that I hope to work with, and hope to work with again. And tonight is no different. We're talking tonight to two people who have developed a great friendship, it seems, we'll find out, and a great collaboration over the last few years. And I thought it would be lovely to have them on to talk about that and find out what they're up to, how they're doing, and what they were up to before this all went down. So let's bring our guests in one by one, Alexis Milligan and Michelle Raine. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome.
I think this would be way better if we did hate each other so that we could then have some sort of gossip rivalry going on.
Oh, goodness, yeah, we could. Well, you know what? If you want, we can just start that now.
Let's just start. Okay, let's start over and we'll just do that.
Okay, wait a second. Hold on. Let me just, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to, hold on. Hi, so our first guests apparently have a bit of rivalry and do not enjoy each other's company. And I thought it'd be a great evening's entertainment, great TV, to stick them in a small digital box together and see what happens. Let's welcome our guests who do not welcome each other, Alexis Milligan and Michelle Raine. That's awkward. So, Michelle, it's great to see. Oh, hi, Alexis.
Hey, how's it going, Jeremy?
See, I think that was much better. That had much more drama.
It was great.
Much better. We'll see whether people, actually somebody tuning in at that very moment, and people were joining at that moment, may have believed me, although I don't act so much anymore, so maybe they won't. It's great. The cat arrived.
It did warn you.
Yeah.
That's one of the great things about all these Zoom and Skype meetings and whatever, all the different formats. There's lots of talk about all the different types of people that are in the meetings with you. The people that eat, the people that drink, the people that have a bad lighting, the people that have a pet with them. Mm-hmm. I think we now know which one you are, Alexis.
Yep, this is the one.
Yeah.
Little needy monster, but he's all right.
All right. How are you both? Where are you and how are you doing? I tell you what, rather than just asking how you're doing, let me ask you a different kind of question. Where are you and who is the first person you're going to embrace warmly that you can't at the moment in your bubble embrace once this is all over? Alexis.
I am in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, in my lovely house in Montebello, and it's going to be my boyfriend for sure.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So I haven't seen him since March 1st.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am in Debert, Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
And the borders are closed right now, and I actually really miss my mom, just knowing that I can't actually go over the border. Not that I see her every day or anything anyway, but just knowing that I can't go just to visit, I'm pretty sad about that, actually. So
I think a lot of people right now are thinking, hug your mum or hug your dad or hug a loved one that's just over a border or too far away to travel to.
But when we got canceled at Theatre New Brunswick, I stopped in at her place just because I thought I could tell that our provincial borders were probably going to close down at some point during all of this. So I stopped in to see her.
Right. I'm getting a bit of echo from one of you. It could be you just turn your volume down just a touch, and then it will not drive both of our watches crazy. So tell me, Michelle, why don't you tell your side of the story first? Now we find out whether you actually do like each other. Because you've been collaborating for a while, it seems to me. I know you work with a lot of other people as well, both of you. But how did this relationship, this collaborative relationship, begin? And why and what happened? How'd that all start, Michelle?
Well, I was going to Dalhousie, Fountain School of Performing Arts, and I was in the show Midsummer Night's Dream, and I was playing Peas Blossom and Snug.
Oh.
And it was actually one of like they're smaller parts, but they were probably the funnest parts to play during my like theater education. And it's because I got to be more physical and in my body than I had in other plays where I was worrying so much about words. So it taught me a lot about the physical space of theater and the physical space of the stage. And Alexis Milligan was the movement coach on that. Were you the movement director or movement coach or movement
director?
Movement director on that, with Philip Aiken as the regular director. And when she came into the room, I was like, oh my God, seems so, I had no idea who she was, by the way. Even though she's like famous, but I'm dumb and don't know anybody. And I was like, oh my gosh, like there was like glittery stars all around her. And I fell madly in love with her. And when she told me to, as Peas Blossom, to dance around and possibly fart glitter, or what was it? Puke glitter? Vomit glitter, like they do in the Trolls movie. That's when I really realized that we were soulmates. About a week later at Taboos and Schmooze, she was there as well, and right before she was going to go home to her children, I pulled her onto the dance floor and said, hi, I have a bunch of diary entries and I'd like you to help me with them, and I have no money. And she probably didn't think I was serious, but then I stopped her.
Okay, so let's pick up the story there.
Yeah, we were at the 2B Booze and Schmooze. I had been working with Michelle at Dal, and it was sort of in that vein. I had a project going on that was a collaborative project with the School of Nursing on palliative care, and we were sort of partnering with Fountain School, and so I had auditions, and Michelle, and there was Zach Hamo and Stephanie Hunter and Samantha Thompson were all part of that class, and they all came on board, and we developed this project together, the Peace Project, which was a sort of a big, long, beautiful journey that was very collaborative in that. And just working with Michelle in that capacity, when she approached me about, developing a show, It's a Girl, it was a no-brainer, man. It was just like, yes, of course.
I think it was actually, the Peace Project. I saw that. I came to one of the performances of that, and it was very, I don't know whether immersive is the correct use of the term immersive for theater, in that, whether that's what you intended, but I felt like I was in the play and participating. In fact, I think I have. There's me.
You are.
Participating with you, Michelle. And
yeah, look at us.
And there's Neptune's Leslie McDonald right there as well. Look at that.
It is. Yeah, that was at the Stages Festival, and that was like the show in a super early day workshop, and we were just tossing ideas out and seeing exactly that, how we could create sort of an inclusive environment without really turning people off about talking about death. So
yeah,
we're trying to do a bit of both.
Well, it really worked, because it sort of held us. I remember sitting in a circle with the actors moving around us and sitting with and engaging with us, like we just saw in that photo. Was I reading I can't remember. Was I reading a line from somebody's story?
You were probably reading the therapist, or not the therapist, but the interviewer.
Right.
Because they were all actual dialogues with a real either palliative care patient or a person who was a family member of someone who was on palliative care. So you were probably reading the interviewer part, where
Cool.
Yeah, that design was developed by Steve Lucas, who came on board as one of our designers, which was fantastic. So he's a good friend and a collaborator, and he came down and was with us during that stage's time, which is what's so fantastic about that festival in particular, is that it really allows new work to have a chance to be developed, which is, we really needed that time, and learning from that experience, it really actually completely changed the production. So what we had at the end, what we took on tour to Toronto and Montreal and across Nova Scotia was just a different entity, but it couldn't have been that without the time at Stages. It was really invaluable.
Yeah, Stages is a great festival, and I when I was programming it, it was really a cool thing, and it still continues with Eastern Front to this day to support new work, new creative process, new creative partnership, and so many plays that have gone on to be produced across this country started at Stages with little or no fanfare. In fact, one of the previous artistic producers of Neptune said, Jeremy, if we counted up how many plays started at Stages in some form or another, and he was right. It was always a cool thing. So long may that continue. We've had a message here. I just want to make sure that we get to see it. Oh.
That's my mom.
I was hoping it was your mom. If it was a complete stranger, I was going to say, go carefully, but enjoy that hug. Cool. Awesome. So, Alexis, let's just dwell for a little bit. You and I have worked together before, because you once came to me and pitched yourself for a gig and got it. Do you want to tell that story? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Do you mean fishing?
Yeah, I am. Oh, wait a second. What if you can't remember? Maybe you've blocked it out. Maybe it's a restraining order.
Yeah, that was. I think what had started that was you asking me to come on board to do a bit of choreography for the opening sequence.
Yeah. And
I think I don't know exactly, but at the time, there was sort of, you were going to be in it, and then there was something in that capacity that the directing was sort of happening, not happening. And I remember going in and just saying, well, I'd love to be a part of, bringing the physical work alive, because your vision for that was so very clear that it was really more about, giving that kind of facilitation to be able to bring the landscape of how you were bringing all of those scenes. Each one of those dates was so fun. It was so fantastic to just play with that in the space.
So this was a two-person play about internet dating, the perils of internet dating, which I've done a lot of research officially and for the play, unofficially and for the play. And yeah, when you were sort of first coming on board to talk about the physicality and work with us, the idea was we were just going to put it together ourselves, and and then you pitched yourself to direct it, and I went, wait a second, that's a great idea, to have a woman telling me what to do in a play that could so easily dissolve into one big mess of machismo. Was really a good idea. And I know that we had Natasha McClellan on board as a doing dramaturgical work as well. So yeah, I want to make sure that we talk about here the fact that you didn't just sort of marshal it into existence. You actually took over and directed it. And that play ran for a couple of years on the road. There's Stacey and I in a karaoke scene.
Yes.
What song were we singing there? Don't Stop.
It's Galena's Journey. That was I would actually appreciate getting the soundtrack for that show, because it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And Stacey with how many costume changes?
And she played 9 characters, I think, or maybe 8. 6 of the 7 dates that my character went on, plus my mother, plus my best friend. There's a moment of angst that you got going.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Good memories.
20 pounds ago. That's how I measure. How do you measure a year? And there's a picture of you, and that's where is that? I don't even know where that is. certainly having a martini.
That hat. I lost that hat. I loved that hat.
Me too.
It's a great hat.
You would have loved it. Actually, you would have stolen it, Michelle.
I would have stolen it by now.
So, Michelle, during this pandemic experience, obviously we're all sort of quarantined and doing that. Are you finding ways to let your creative juices flow? Is there an outlet for you right now?
Yeah. My roommate and I are building a deck attached to our house.
Wow.
And I'm also painting all of my clothing with fabric paint. I also dyed my hair blonde and will be dyeing it pink because Alexis didn't let me do that on tour. And
Wow. You see, this is our friendship.
And I also bought a bunch of face paint, so I'm going to start playing around with that because I used to do drag, and I've been missing like the extravagance of drag. So I don't know if I want to perform in drag again, unless someone hires me to do Hedwig or something at Neptune Theatre. But
did you just drop a hint?
What? No.
That was a great pitch.
I'm sorry.
You've been hanging out with Alexis Milligan way too much.
She is so
sorry,
sorry.
not too sorry. That's how I got her to work with me. So it's worked once. So I just keep on trying. But yeah, I'm just trying to find artistic ways to express myself. And I actually started a workshop when we were at TNB. I hosted a workshop. They got some funding for me to put it together, and it kind of it brings the creative process to a more abstract place, and then develops it into a monologue rather than just kind of like focusing on the writing portion. Because I find that one of my favorite things that a teacher said to me in grade 12, an art teacher said that the scariest part of creating something is the white space of the canvas, it looking so perfect and neat. And I feel that same pressure when I'm either typing out a short story or even writing in a notebook. I feel that same pressure. So I like to start with something that's really abstract and just kind of fun to get the creative juices flowing. And then out of that abstract idea, I start to look at the components that I put in kind of subconsciously. And then I take each one of those elements and I kind of like, well, first I do like a free writing, and then I try to structure it a little bit more. So that's kind of where I've tried to develop. I don't know if any of that made sense. But that's kind of like why I'm trying all these other creative abstract ideas to try to keep my, stay awake.
Yeah, keep that muscle flexed.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you trained at DAL. When did you graduate?
Well, 2017 is when I finished the Fountain School Performing Arts acting program. I actually haven't graduated with my bachelor's yet because I started getting hired for some things and I didn't really want to. I went to university at the time. I went to the university to do acting. So like why, and create theater and create art. So why, I was kind of finished that part. So I only had like one psychology course that I needed, and I'm actually taking that psychology course right now during the pandemic. But I'm also now considering taking my Bachelor of Education. So I am adding 2 courses to that over the next year, and then applying for the Bachelor of Education program as well at Mount St. Vincent University. So, I mean, maybe I won't get in, but maybe I will. And yeah, it was really the tour as well, the TNB tour, working with kids and stuff that really like put that fire under me because talking to the kids for an hour about the topics that we were talking about just didn't really sit as well with me as I wanted it to. I feel like it was a great start to a very important conversation and really great for a lot of the kids that we were influencing. But so many of those kids still had questions, and they even though we provided them with resources in their community, they don't have role models that are in the queer community, or that are transgender, or have had to deal with some of the stuff that I've dealt with. And so I started to realize that I think I can be more valuable and make an impact if I'm actually with those kids for a period of time in their life, to actually, help them out with their how to explore themselves, and I don't know, their identities, and they had so many questions, and it was just so short little time to answer it. So
I find that very moving that you had that experience. You didn't feel that it quite completed it for you, and now you're looking at altering, or adding, I guess I shouldn't say altering, adding to your own life and future to continue with that work. That's amazing. If only we'd all do something like that. God.
Yeah, anyway, go ahead.
No. Thank you. So Alexis, and what about you? You're in Dartmouth now. I'm assuming that work that you had lined up has been put on hold. But have you been working from home?
It sort of has been put on hold, and then actually quite gratefully not. I've been the Shaw Festival still rehearsing. We actually just finished our contracts, for our work for the season, where they had to be terminated. Just this last Sunday was our last day. And so for the last 6 weeks, we've actually been in full rehearsals, which I think, to begin with, being a movement director and someone who works with a physical body, I was sort of really thinking I'd be sitting in Zoom rehearsals, just kind of not doing much, and just listening, and that it would just be a lot of discussions. And actually, quite wonderfully, it turned into a really big and kind of critical creation time, in a way that I think it bought us back time that we normally don't get in the rehearsal hall, most especially, I think, in Canadian theatre at large, where we've got, say at Neptune, we get 2 weeks and 2 days in the studio, and then we have to get into tech, and then it's up, and then it's gone. Even looking at that structure at the Shaw, our rehearsals are actually 3 hours a day split, because it's all in rep. You don't, early openers, mid openers, late openers. So that kind of combined time, yes, we have many, many more weeks, but if you add up the hours, it's still only about 4 weeks of rehearsal, which is a luxury for sure. But it doesn't mean that you get the time to do what this last 6 weeks did, which was do some creative exercises. Questions, more dialogue. How can you present or rehearse? Like, what are we here for? Where, actually kind of getting into the meat a little bit more about the productions, about characters, about storylines, and not that it was even table work. Like, I was teaching line dancing.
And what was that experience like, though? Because I know that I have sat in now hundreds of Zoom meetings, and then I spend my evenings talking to people in boxes. This is more fun. Yep. There's wine. It's more fun chat. It's not about business, the business of theater. But do you feel? Is there any kind of frustration, or are people like getting antsy sitting? Are they sitting? Are they moving around? How does that work?
That's a really good thing. That's a really good question, because I certainly, by the end of the day, if I'd had a couple of rehearsals, I'm also doing one-on-one coaching sessions with the acting company, running actors gym or a ballet class or something, that my eyeballs are burning from the back of my head by the end of the day. It's like, I just need to kind of, shut everything down so I can sleep. But I think, actually, because they were shortened, they were only 3 hours with a 15-minute break. It kind of actually really helped to break up the time a little bit more effectively. So you did get, and again, I wasn't anticipating doing physical work, but it was like turn your camera off. We're going to get up. I'm going to lead a stretch, pin my video, and I'll take you through something. No one else has to see you. I even was doing sort of abstract exercises with some character development work, and that people could, like, I'd give them a prompt and they'd turn their videos off and go away and do it. And I'd say, okay, you've got 30 seconds. And then they come back and we discuss. And I mean, I think the beauty of it is you have, you know, a big team of people who really kind of love that kind of stuff. They get off on it. They want to do it. They're not just turning off their videos and going, great, I'm going to go put the kettle on. Kind of thing. Like they, you know, it really does get people kind of motivated in that regard. So, I mean, there were certainly times, like in anything, where you're just like a bit, you know, but honestly, what else are you going to do? So at least I feel like, you know, I've had some nice creative kind of aha moments, even in the last 6 weeks, that I really just was not anticipating. Like,
so what's going to come next, though? Because where is, if you don't mind me asking, tell me what I'm allowed to know. What has Shaw decided thus far? Where are they in their process?
So right now there's sort of a series of blue sky meetings that are happening, trying to, I think the biggest conversation, and quite rightfully so, is that we're not a digital medium. The theater is theater, and it's meant to create connections and bring people together, to share a space together, to breathe together, you know. But how can we keep supporting the community that loves the Shaw and lives for, you know, coming to the theater, and not just the Shaw, but theater in general? Like, these people are still out there and they adore the theater and they want to come see everything, and they got their tickets to Stratford and they go to their, you know, they've got all their little lists of the symphony, and they go to Factory, and they go to all their little community theaters or regional theaters, and they make the big trip to Toronto because they're going to go do all their stuff. They have it mapped out for like a year in advance. They know what theaters they're going to, what shows, you know. So how do we connect with those people? So right now we're kind of in a transition phase where we're looking at how to keep that community outreach going and keep people in, you know, feeling like they have a place where they can find some content, but online content that isn't just watch us do this scene, because it's not going to be the same. But that when we're opening a rehearsal, like there was a couple of open showings. Devil's Disciple did a radio play. So that, you know, just experimenting with how you could bring it in creative ways, alternative ways, and that you can kind of work with the medium a little bit, while at the same time just kind of staying true to the fact that this doesn't replace theater. It can't. But sort of just trying not to go down that path. And so, yeah.
But as of last weekend, the acting company that have been in these rehearsals, which we've all heard about and been marveling at, and also quite, I must admit, very inspired by that decision by the Shaw Festival to keep that work going and to spend the money in a dark and dangerous, scary time to have you all working was very cool. But that's come to an end. So I guess the future is kind of up in the air now, or?
Well, we've actually just started this new initiative. So there's a group of us that put in applications to become employees.
Oh,
so we're now employees specifically for community outreach.
Right.
So right now I'm working with a really great team on the wellness component for the company, but not just the acting ensemble, for the staff, because a lot of the staff, again, aren't necessarily people who feel comfortable coming to a class with the ensemble. So what can we offer people who are literally getting their coffees at 7 o'clock in the morning? I'm sure you know this, and you're on, like, you get up, you get your coffee, you're on the computer, and you're there for the day.
I pick this up straight away and go, who texted me? What's the problem?
Right?
Oh.
Yeah. So all of the staff, you know, like the office administration, who are the heartbeat of our theater companies, really, you know, they are the ones that are there day in, day out. They're not contract workers, they're employees. So how can we offer things that we've got, you know, some skill sets maybe and some resources that we can start to partner, and so do they. Like, there's a lot of people who are fantastic musicians and gardeners and cooks, visual artists, you know, and who do meditations and have been, you know, all this kind of depth of work that I think so how do we connect more with them is that's my project with my team right now.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to balance doing my master's on top of that, which
oh yeah, just throw that in.
Sucker for punishment.
A little masters, why not? Yeah. We're nearly out of time. We're probably over time, but I just want to stick with you for a few more moments, if I may. So you two have collaborated. I think, in my opinion, I can say it successfully from what I've seen and what I've heard, and the fact that you're getting it done, you're getting your work out there. Do you have plans to? Have you got anything new in the pipeline together, or do you have ideas separately that you haven't yet told each other about that you want to share right now? I don't know. Apparently, we're going to do Hedwig and the Angry Inch, but
yeah. Choreographer,
And,
actor, director.
I'll be your movement director.
You know what? I wouldn't direct that show. I'm not the right director for that show. But I would. I love that show.
I know someone who could direct it.
Yeah, right.
And I'll do both.
They were on the Neptune stage this year. Or Alexis.
Wow.
You're seeing it here first, folks. Off the Leash, this little talk show that started 5-6 weeks ago, has now become a place for artists to come on, pitch their work for the 21, 22, 23 season, and sign a napkin. I wish I had. I've got a Kleenex.
I love it.
You could sign that. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, so are there any thoughts about that? Have you talked about that yet, or is that you I think we've worked out by the end of this conversation you do actually like each other and enjoy working together.
Yeah, well, I think we speak philosophically about all kinds of things at all times, and I think that sometimes out of those we go, oh, that could be a show. Oh, that could be a show. But so far, we've also have like such separate lives as well. Even though I feel like we're such good friends. That, like, I mean, you have kids, you are at the Shaw like 50% of the time, maybe more, and I'm in Debert, Nova Scotia, and so, and like working on my own stuff, so it just ends up being like a little bit difficult to actually get something like. But right now, we're revamping the Transitus Creative website together, kind of ongoing. And I don't know, maybe in the future.
Okay.
Yeah, right now, I think It's a Girl was kind of in the middle of its tour, and it got kind of abruptly stopped. Like the momentum, like I think for all of us, just our momentum kind of has been a bit stalled, and so it was such an abrupt way that I think our energies for sure have been just focusing on It's a Girl, getting it out there, getting like the study guides that we created with the beautiful Matt Carter at TNB, like just trying to get information about these shows out in that capacity. It was like, I think my brain hasn't quite switched that it, like the tour ended. So It's a Girl right now, because, Summer Works, we had an application and they were just about to announce, like, and then, it was like all those things that we were sort of waiting on, and now it's all kind of canceled. And so I think putting those things in and what's happening with them is kind of,
Yeah.
So I think
it's certainly a time of flux and change, but even with change, there's normally an end in sight of some kind. I want to thank you both for being here. It's lovely to see you both and to talk to you both, and thanks for sharing. And I'm now thinking that I've got to get some lights up in my fake basement Neptune fake office set that I built 5 weeks ago. I'm feeling really bland now, so I'm inspired.
You look beautiful, but you look Michelle. She's just.
I know, right? I mean, I don't even
because I want one.
I gotta work a little harder. And actually, I'm going to end by just showing you this comment, which I think actually sums you up. It's been like spending an evening with a couple of beauties.
Aww.
Thank you, Peter. How are you,
Peter?
Thanks for watching. And wait, I'm going to go to this one. I didn't even read it first. Thanks, you. Thank you, Jade.
Aw.
Jade also has gone blonde during this
Oh.
pandemic. I happen to.
I will say that I think I went first, Jade, but
Wow, competition.
but her blonde turned out way better.
Yeah, I about 3 weeks ago, I actually went on Facebook and said, I want to shave my head totally bald. I've never done it in my life.
Do
and
it.
I got voted down by people that love me and care about me, but I still kind of want to do it. And the other option is to actually do what I've never done, which is go totally blonde as well, because this is the time to do it.
This is the time to do it. You could do a big reveal too,
Yeah.
you know?
I could like have a wig that looks like my hair and then go whoosh. Be great.
That would be amazing.
Yes, you could. And then also you should get colors for your hair and just do crazy colors because they wash out within 3 weeks anyway, and you can always dye it back brown. Plus you have very short hair and you could just, cut it all off after that.
I know.
It's perfect.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I hope Melissa's not watching this upstairs. All right. It's been an absolute treat to talk to you. I want to thank Support for Culture for their ongoing support of this show. We are here the rest of this week. We're also doing shows. We'll announce guests on Friday for next week. We've got an amazing lineup next week, including a gigantic show next Thursday, which I'm not allowed to tell you about, but it involves many artists coming together for the first time. And Support for Culture have made that happen, and they've just let us know that they're going to be supporting us for a little while longer as well while we do this. I was kind of hoping it would only be a couple of weeks, not because I don't enjoy doing it, but because I thought it wouldn't then be necessary. You two stay exactly where you are while I play the end titles and wish you all a good night. If you are in the position to support Neptune Theatre, like all arts organizations right now, we are struggling and we are grappling with the notion that we'll be back to work way after everyone else at this point. It seems to be the case. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.